Hello viewers, Chris, John, Vee Two Australia, Project 860, episode 16.
I think so.
And sorry we've been a bit, I wouldn't say slack with videos, but we've had a lot on, so we're going to get straight back into it. We're going to concentrate on the forks today. Now you would have seen in a previous episode, early in the piece, we got them powder coated in the typical Ducati textured finish by Epic Powder Coated. Sorry, I'll start again. Epic Powder Coating. They're up in Midland.
Midland, yeah. We're going to call in and see Michael. Probably in WA, probably the best powder coater in the auto industry.
Very good guy. Loves doing it. And to him, it's all about the, what would you say, the quality rather than quantity. So we get all our powder coating done by Michael at Epic. And yeah, good quality stuff. So with these forks, John's going to talk to us about, or talk to you guys about the kit that we use to upgrade them, make them really a better fork, a much better fork, more supple, more compliant than the regular rock hard things that they are. Now these are Marzocchis, these things. Now you could get Serianis as well. Now 38 millimeters. You can re-chrome the fork tubes. We've decided to put brand new ones in. So we've already prepared one. You're going to build the next one.
You're going to get on the camera.
I'll get on the camera so I can do some close-ups, and you're going to explain what the GO is.
Okay.
Sounds good? Okay. You making me a cup of tea?
Do you want a cup of tea?
I'll have a cup of tea, please.
That'll keep you occupied for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Righty, as Chris said, today we're going to be putting a set of forks together with the springs and gold valves and preload spacers that we use. As you can see here, these are the damper valves themselves. They come with, the kit comes with 4 different rates of damper spring. We use the yellow, which is the second stiffest, and then when we put them in, you also have a choice of the damper itself. The ones we use have got 4 holes in. In the kit comes a blank that you can drill 1, 2, 3 or 4 holes. The more holes, obviously, the more flow you get. It's a rider preference or a bike owner preference which springs you use, but through all our testing and the forks we've built for other customers, we stick with the yellow, and then the nut and bolt down the middle actually puts preload on the spring. So we put three full turns of preload onto the yellow spring, and that's the damper setup we use. The kit comes with a alternate spring. The standard damper rods that are in the bike, we supply a modified damper rod in exchange for your old damper rods. We don't use the ball type compression damper on the top, and then the rebound holes in the bottom, we also drill them out to bigger size to allow more flow, because now we're controlling the oil flow with the damper valve instead of the rate that it travels through there in that bottom hole. We also use our own pistons.
Thanks, Ron.
That's all right.
Isn't it great having an assistant?
A tea lady.
The tea lady, you could have stirred it a bit better.
You want a cup of tea, Fabio?
No, I'm all good. So as Chris said, we use a new fork leg, and the kit comes with a preload tube that we cut down to a specific length. So we end up with 20 mil, which is the height of the fork cap, is the preload. That once again is optional to whatever amount of preload you want to put on. We cut this down in the lathe. Then once the fork leg is assembled, like this one, then we fill it with oil, and with none of the springs in the fork leg, no damper or anything, we fill it with oil, and we leave a 110 mil air gap at the top, which equates to approximately 280 millilitres of oil. So whether you want to put a determined volume in, or whether you want to measure an air gap, or whether you want a bigger air gap or a smaller air gap, That's once again a rider preference. So once these are all built, if you build them yourself and you find that the forks are too stiff, you can pull the valves out and adjust them, change the springs, put more preload on with the preload tube. There's many variables, but when we put them in from the testing that we've done, this is how we do it.
Now, can I ask a question for the viewers, John?
You can.
When you put your fork oil, what do you use? Or you know?
Once again, that's a preference. Some people like a really thin oil, a 5-weight oil. Some people would like a 10. We've got bottles of 15 and 20, but we use ATF, which comes in a viscosity of about 8. So it's sort of mid-range between a 5 and a 10. It can definitely handle the heat because it can handle the heat in a transmission. So the standard damper rod has this check valve on the top. We get rid of that, and you can get rid of that at home as well. It's a very simple procedure, nothing technical. They just knock off. Got a ball bearing there for your slingshot. Now this end, where that has been on, this end needs cleaning up on the surface, and it needs cleaning up on this outside edge. So we've got the luxury of having a lathe, so we can do that in the lathe. But if not, you can do it on your linisher at home. Don't take too much off. You just want it to be a nice flat surface so that it'll seal on the inside of the new piston when we put the new pistons on. So this one's all assembled back together. It's got the same top out spring setup. The standard piston stays there because we use that as a spacer with the circlip underneath. But you take the piston ring off, so it's not sealing. All it's being used as a spacer and a guide. And then when it's in there, the new piston will sit on top. The gold valve will sit on top of that. Then the spring will come down and sit on top of the valve. And then on top of the spring will be the preload tube. So now we can start assembly. In the bottom of the tube goes the, what would you call that? Bump stop. The bump stop goes in the bottom.
Right way around?
That's an in-house joke. We've been caught before. The damper assembly goes inside the shiny new fork legs. You'll have to edit that bit out because you have to put it in the right way around.
Ah, righto, yep.
Then there's a circlip that holds that assembly in place. You can let go of that. You can see in there where the circlip groove is right at the end of that bottom spacer. That's home. Then we've got to insert 2 new lip seals. These forks run a double lip seal. That's the first one.
Yeah, just for the viewers out there, John, you can buy those kits, basically fork seal kits where,
yes.
I mean, or if you had a socket big enough or something that...
Ours is the top of a upside down fork leg.
Well, there you go. You can make anything, but you just don't want to be belting near the lip of the seal to damage it. But I'm sure you all know that.
But some people, there's a circlip that goes in the top. Some people use these, some people don't. I prefer to use them. Some people don't use them. Some people will even glue the lip seals in. But I prefer to use the original circlip. Right. I also like to put a smear of grease on the lips themselves. Nothing like putting lubricant on your lips.
That's right. Bit of lip gloss.
So now the fork leg can slide in.
Sorry for the heavy breathing there, viewers.
We have to get the bottom of the damper rod to locate inside. Which sounds like it just did. And there's the retaining bolt in the bottom with a new aluminium O-ring. Aluminium washer. Sometimes when you're nipping this bolt up, sometimes it'll spin. A 3/8 drive rattle gun, impact wrench, impact drill can solve that. Or sometimes you might need to put the spring in and put some pressure on there. But luckily on this one, it actually came up. So now we're ready to put the oil in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 280 mil of oil and see how good my memory was before I measure the air gap. All right, so we got the oil, we put the oil in. I've measured it up as a 110 mil air gap with no spring, no damper, nothing in there. It actually took just over 300 mil of oil. I was wrong with 280, but 20 mil between friends. And that's, once again, the air gap is a personal preference. You can run a smaller air gap, you can run more oil, you can run less oil, you can run a different weight oil. That's all up to your preference when you're setting your bike up. Okay, so we've checked the oil level. We checked the air gap is 110 mil. It ended up being just over 300 mil of oil. So the next goes in is the piston. That's going to sit on top of our damper rod. That's in there already. And then on top of that, we'll go the valve. And then on top of that, we'll go the spring. Because we've only got 110 mil air gap with the fork leg compressed, probably would be wise to lift the fork leg up so we don't overflow. All right, so now we're going to stick the piston in. The O-ring or the piston ring needs collapsing to get it inside. There we go. Sitting on top of that goes the gold valve. We can push them down with the spring. And then I can measure. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be 110 mil as well. I can measure. There's 115 mil there. So next to go in, if I can reach them. there's two washers. One goes flat side down. There's a flat and a rounded side. Flat side goes down to the spring. And then we'll need to cut the preload tube. So 115, that'll probably go to be 110 now. That's 115, and then we want 20 sticking up out of the top for the actual preload. So that's 135 mil, less the thickness of the second washer, which is 2 mil. So we want to cut these down to 130 millimeters long, which I'm now going to have to disappear and go and do on the lathe. So I've come back from the machine shop. I've cut down the preload tubes. I've dropped the fork down here. We've got a part of a triple clamp here as a clamp, so we're not clamping in the jaws of the vise. I've cut them down. They end up being flush with the top of the tube. Then when we screw down the fork caps, that's the amount of preload that goes onto the tube or onto the spring. So you put the second washer in, put this down. I may be able to get these started. I may not.
You got to be careful not to cross thread. Pretty fine thread pitch. What are they, John? Do you remember?
No. Brand new fork caps that the hex doesn't want to come out of. So that's it done. We need to put the new fork boots on.
It looks like some sort of phallic symbol there on.
That looks dangerous, doesn't it?
That's it, good to go. Nice and smooth, refurbished, new fork leg, new fork cap, new springs, new kit, just the damper rod and the refurbished fork bottom. And there you go, straight back into Project 860.
Okay, so forks together for Project 860. They're going to work well, I think. We should be at a process soon that we can start putting the rolling chassis together. The paint work's partly done. We've been doing some fiberglassing, so my paint booth has been stolen, but that'll be coming back soon. And thanks for watching. If you like it, like and subscribe. If you want to make any comments, that's fine. And anything you've got to say?
If you want a kit like we've just put in these bikes, you can contact Chris through V2, or if you're not confident in doing it yourself, you can send us your forks. Especially if you're in WA, pop in and say hello and drop us your forks off, and we can do an exchange for you. If you need new fork legs, we can get them. And go and see Michael at Epic Powder Coating, not only for your fork legs, but for any of your automotive powder coating. He's the man to see.
Cool. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.